Good evening. Should be live. A little bit of a short notice stream, so I don't know if anyone's actually gonna show up. If not, I'm just gonna talk to myself. Paid drummers in the chat. At least one person showed up, so that's all good. No, I just totally forgot that today is Wednesday. Much more people now in the chat. Lovely, lovely. Hope you guys are doing well. We are running to come in. Love to see that. Yeah, I mean, last week's been pretty good. Nothing groundbreaking, but sentiment has shifted 180 degrees. So we'll talk about it. Full send confirmed. I wouldn't necessarily say that, but it's looking even better than last week. And I mean, we did some bull propaganda last week when it was looking dire. Now it's looking much better. So maybe we can do a little bit more of that. We'll see. We'll see as we go through the chart. Guten Tag, Doug. Good day to you too. So yeah, let's do this thing. But before we start, big shout out to Wu for sponsoring the show. Really appreciate their support. Their links are in the description below. Anyway, let's get going. On the monthly time frame, we talked about this last month. I was like, hey, we broke resistance. It's a good thing. Nothing's really changed since then. As long as we're trading above 95 on the monthly, it just looks bullish to me. On the weekly time frame, this is something we talked about like the last 2 weeks actually. I have maintained that this is support all throughout, and it's worked out so far. One thing of note, and this is something we've also talked about in the last weeks, is that I do not usually like immediate retests, and this is no different. I would have much preferred if we didn't do this. The only reason why I was still quite adamantly bullish at this support was one, I mean, it is still support even though it's weaker than if the support is just front run, right? Like this is a more bullish chart than this one. People like this one better because they feel like they're getting a better entry, but usually this is a much worse entry than just buying into the consolidation high up. But sentiment was quite bad generally, and the high time frames didn't necessarily paint too bad of a picture. So yeah, here we are, bounced from the support, not too bad. Not too bad, cannot hate on this. If we lose 104K, I think at this point, it starts looking much worse. I think that's a nice kind of like weekly invalidation for aggressive bulls. Like if you're aggressively, like if you're leveraging or whatever, a close below 104 would be, I think, quite bad news, at least short term. Longer term, like I said, 95-ish is the line in the sand. And then when you go on the daily time frame, you can draw a few lines. This is the ones that we had last week, which I mean, we acted as resistance. We broke down, hit support, and then bounced. And so far, so good, right? You can obviously add this one in, and that's kind of where we are right now. So would be nice to close above the prior all-time high wick, but it's not necessarily a prerequisite of being bullish in the low time frames. Low time frames generally just looking good here. I think for the aggressive low time frame traders, being bullish unless 106K gets lost makes sense. So yeah, I mean, just a shallow pullback. And shallow pullbacks where sentiment gets really negative is usually a good thing. ETH is finally showing some consistent strength. Yeah, we love to see it. Good evening. Is it time for altcoins or is it still fuel for Bitcoin? Hard to say. I hold some altcoins, but I don't want to make grand calls on that front. Just hold both. And then once some altcoins go, you will know that you have like a week or two of altcoin outperformance ahead of you the moment they actually show you some strength. What are you targeting for ETH? New all-time high is my target on that one. That's Bitcoin, like I said, no time frame, any issues. We're making new highs on the monthly. We're pushing towards the old highs on the weekly right now. And the daily time frame's also decent. Even if we went all the way back to 101, the daily would honestly look fine. There would just be a range in the earlier breakout. Like you can argue, and I like that kind of point of view, like this is the range. We had like attempted breakouts, they didn't really do anything, and now look where we are consolidating. So prior to where we are right now, this was where heavy selling stepped in, and now you kind of can see that, I mean, the consolidation just stepped up one level, which I like. That's not too bad. Basically, we're accumulating. It doesn't have to be accumulation, but I mean, basically, we're kind of consolidating above where we, like, basically where prior the bears were in control. Now the bulls are in control here, which is, I think, a good thing, and should be treated bullish until things change. Is there a good entry point on ETH? We'll talk about it. So the reason why I like ETH, right? And we talked about this on the show while we're trading down here. There's actually a Friday episode where I talk about it with Cred, where we're like, oh, ETH is such a piece of shit, but honestly, like this is the last level that it can hold and still look bullish, and therefore we like it. From like 3 months ago or something, and that actually played out quite nicely. Sad thing is, I already had my position. I bought in here into that. Was it that green candle? I think, yeah, that was that monthly green candle, like right before it kind of like shot up a bunch and then just never sold. So I didn't feel too comfortable adding. So I didn't really. Added a little bit, but nothing major. It's the problem when you get shitty entries and then you hold them for too long, is that when you see a good entry, you cannot really do too much about it. I mean, I could have, but I hate adding on losing trades. Just really don't like it, because then very quickly you go, and I mean, your psychology just goes out the window, right? Like you're just like, this has to work, and it keeps going down. You're like, now it's even cheaper than before, now I want to buy even more. Seen too many people blow up with that, so I don't necessarily like it. So I usually just don't do it. I like to be free of those kind of thoughts, so I usually only add, or like very rarely add on losers, but normally just add on winning positions. But I'm now above water, which is nice for the first time in like 4 months or something. But yeah, the monthly I like because we basically, I got completely sidetracked. We had an all-time high here, retested it as support, put in a consolidation here, retested it as support here, and what we did before that is we had a whole range in here, prior cycle and then this cycle as well, and the range broke to the downside, which is bad, but now it's a range reclaim, which is good, and that is usually for me a signal to at least be neutral at worst, if not bullish at best, right? Like I mean the same setup that I drew earlier, with where you kind of like do this and then you fall down, like you basically you have a breakout and you fall back in the range, like that's hilariously bearish. The same is true obviously on the other side, like you have a breakdown and you reclaim the range, that's usually bullish. Obviously not always, trading is never a guarantee, and especially with patterns, like people that are just like, oh yeah, you guaranteed to make money on this and that pattern, is always fucking frauds. But more often than not, a high time frame, if you have a nice range that breaks to the downside and reclaims, that squeezes a little. And the reason for that is quite simple. You have a bunch of people that panic sold here and also shorted, and those people usually act as fuel the moment you reclaim the range, because they start freaking out that they sold the generational bottom slash they're in short positions. They keep adding on the way up, and then they just get blown out and you get a short squeeze. Multiple reasons for why this pattern is nice. It's just one, like two of them. Anyway, like that's a good chart. The worst chart, but honestly, like kind of impressive in comparison to the other altcoins, is ETH BTC on the monthly. You can see how we capitulated. I talked about that for a long time, and now we're kind of breaking that capitulation with some nice candles to the upside. The good part about this is that this is happening while the altcoin market as a whole isn't doing so hot. As you can see, like my watch list is largely red today. ETH BTC is green, and just generally, like this has outperformed basically other altcoins. Has done well while the other altcoins haven't done well. So that's relative strength there, and obviously in the last month some relative strength on the Bitcoin pair as well. And the support that I drew weeks and weeks ago has been acting as really nice support generally. So as long as that holds, we're good on the ETH front. I like it on both the ETH USD pair, and we'll go over the lower time frame stuff in a second, and also on the Bitcoin pair. Even though this is obviously like a very bearish trend, so you have to be careful with holding on too long if you're not an investor. What happened to Cred? He just uploaded the video without sound and disappeared. So he wanted to do a show on Monday, and then I think the recording didn't, like the sound recording didn't work. So he ran through the whole thing and then uploaded it, and realized the sound wasn't working. And I think at that point he capitulated. I'm sure he's gonna be back on Monday next week, and on Friday this week, hopefully. But I mean, I 100% understand. Imagine you make a video like 20-30 minutes long, or however long it is. You talk to yourself, and then you realize your microphone was muted. I mean, I wouldn't want to record again either. It's a good thing about streaming, because it happened to me multiple times with streaming, and then people in the chat are just like, dude, you're a moron, your microphone's off. And then you're like, I can fix that. But if you just record the video, obviously there's no one else there to tell you. So that's ETH. Like I said, ETH BTC looks constructive for the first time in a while. That's nice. ETH USD looks good on the monthly. On the weekly, it's still at resistance. And this is where the trouble comes in. This is actually really strong resistance. Depending on how you want to draw this diagonal. With that, we hit basically horizontal resistance here. The last one that is actually significant at all. And diagonal resistance, which is the only one that is significant as well. So like we get through here, the sky's the limit. I don't believe in 3.9, 3.8K resistance. It is one, yes, there is resistance there, has been historically. But if you look how often this has been tested on the weekly, like it's too many times. I don't think that would put up too much of a fight. So it's either here or just a new all-time high, in my opinion. So like if you're a bear and you hate ETH, like if you're ever gonna short somewhere, I mean that diagonal that we just hit basically would be a good spot. I'd just rather be bullish for now. But I can see my average, which is roughly in here somewhere. Be generational resistance would suck, but it's how it is. So on the monthly, ETH looks really, really good. On the weekly, it hasn't really managed to break all the resistances yet. So this is the most important part of the entire rally. We'll see how it goes. I'm cautiously optimistic, but I also do realize that, I mean, this has been quite the move when you think about it. It's basically doubled already. So like if I was trading leverage, I'd be a little bit more careful here. especially now that we've tested diagonal as well. So that is that. In terms of setups on ETH, I don't actually like anything. Someone asked like, hey, where can I buy ETH? You can look for 2.3K. I think that's the last place. Like if it goes anywhere lower than that, it starts looking really shit. So I think that maybe a wick into 2K. Like if you see some macro stuff explode basically, then maybe you get a wick into 2K and it can still be bullish. So that would be like a bullish setup, and it would need to close above 2.2, 2.3. That's a setup. I think it's rarely gonna come, but if it does come, like that'd be interesting. But yeah, otherwise like it's tough because basically if you're a bull, you would want this to just like close somewhere where it is right now, and then just next week have a big candle back into the old range above 3K through the resistance that we're battling right now, through the diagonal. That's the best course of action for bulls, and this is not unprecedented on ETH, right? Like whenever it goes up, it usually doesn't really pull back until the top. You can see this multiple times, like here from 1.5 to 4, here from like 300 all the way to 5K. Even like you could even argue like, hey, we went from 80 without a pullback all the way to 5K. Generally doesn't pull back if it's bullish. So I mean, even if you go all the way back, right, like you have a big strong move here, and then you have a little pullback, and then when you get the stronger pullbacks, like for example here, the bigger pullbacks is usually the top, right? Same thing here, like it goes up, it goes up, it goes up, it nukes, and then it did just like a false breakout thing, and then that was the top. So this area was the top. So whenever you get like the big pullbacks, usually means the end, which means that if you're bullish, you wouldn't want this to go down too far. I think 2.2, 2.3 would be as far as you would like as a bull. I would honestly hate it if it went anywhere lower than that. Not because I wouldn't have the perfect entry, but because very often when it does this, it's not gonna end so well. So if you're bullish, you would like this to just be bullish. And then like, what do you do? If it's actually as bullish as you think it is, if you're a bull, it should actually just not pull back, which is really annoying. But that is how it is. But yeah, there is a setup there. Like if everything nukes, maybe you get like a wick into 2K. I don't think it's too likely, but possible nonetheless. But more likely, like if it actually does nuke, you know, does this, closes back above, it goes a little bit up, and then it just nukes again. Still a good trade if you get 1.9K, but like as a bull, you would not want to see this, obviously. Don, why are you quitting trading, and also why are you gay? I mean, why am I quitting trading? Because I have other things in life now that take priority. Trading takes up too much of my time. It's not like I'm quitting it entirely, but I have slowed down significantly. I just make a few trades a year, and that's it. And why am I gay? I do not know. Like, I do not know how that works with 2 children and a wife. Is there any books you recommend to read which help your trading? Not necessarily. I mean, you can read up on risk management, all that kind of stuff. A bunch of poker players have written decent books about it. But honestly, like, this is just something that it's so personal, like trading, that you just have to kind of do it, and then be very self-critical and very analytical, and kind of see what works and what doesn't for you, and then just go with that. Like if you just blindly copy paste what someone else is doing, I don't think you're gonna do so well. Don't be fooled into thinking that raising children and surfing will make your life full. I mean, it's an attitude thing, you know, like a mindset thing. Like your life's never gonna be full if you don't think it is. So everyone's just gotta do whatever they want, and then be happy with that. End of an era, to be honest. It's all right. I mean, it's been long enough. No, I've been full time since 2017. Full time trading, like non-stop. Like some of you were not born yet. Nice birds outside, Don. Yeah, thank you. I have nice nature around me. So that's ETH. Like I said, not too bad. Needs a little bit more, but honestly, like it's never been this close to just looking really, really good. XRP still the same as it's always been, a range sideways. Like basically, ETH had a range, broke out twice to the downside. And then if you imagine ETH being XRP, basically XRP just had a range, never broke. Like, I mean, it broke out to the upside, to the downside, stayed in that range. That's honestly a high time frame more bullish, but obviously I think, and it's something that I've mentioned on stream like multiple times, I could see ETH outperform XRP for a while. I still like it though. The XRP BTC chart is the one that's a little bit more worrisome. As long as you stay zoomed in. Like if you look at this, it's kind of like that's not so great. If you go on the monthly and you zoom out a little bit, it's still quite hilariously bullish. It's one of the few altcoins, like this looks kind of sad, but it's the best we've got right now, I think, like from the big names anyway, like ETH. And then you compare that with XRP and it's even more bullish, kind of funny. So yeah, still like that a lot. I would say ETH and XRP are my favorites right now, from the big caps. Solana, I mean, it's not really doing anything. It did bounce from the support that we outlined, like that it reclaimed 126, and we talked about this on this show, that was the bullish trigger basically, long until invalidated. So far it has not been. It ran to resistance. It bounced a little bit now, trying to make a higher low. Doesn't have to work, right? Like if this is the top of the market, which is always, like when you're trading this high, always possible. Even though I think the chances of it are not too high, but still, I would still say the chances of the top being close or in on a lot of these coins is still like in the 2 digits. I just think it's in a low 2-digit percent. But yeah, trying to make a higher low right here. And would be nice if that works, not because I have any, because I don't. I like ETH much better, but just because if Solana does well, other altcoins do well too. And then on everything else, it's just a little bit boring. With fall off, I mean, I still have some. I mean, the story with is basically I shorted free. I closed somewhere in the $1 range, if I remember correctly, like 1.5 something. Maybe I didn't close the bottom. It was somewhere here, I'm pretty sure. Don't remember quite right. And I got so much shit for it, and I shorted it again when it nuked, and then people were hating on me even more. And then I bought some at $1 just because I found it hilarious, that the WIF people were hating me, and then I would just buy in that most dire moment, and was immediately down like fucking 60-70%. But now it's back at break even. Like a lot of my positions are actually exactly at break even. Usually when that happens, you should probably take profit. when you're deep underwater and you come all the way back up, I should be probably selling some. But I said $0 or $2, and that's kind of still where I'm at. Gonna sell if it gets back to that resistance. We'll see if that happens or not. Hey chat, sorry I just arrived here. Did you say it could be top for market in general? I mean, it could always be the top. I just don't think it is. But like people like this now has to happen before the market can top, and that's just not the case. You should always be like, you should have an exit strategy at all times. When the market is like as heated as it has been, right? Like Bitcoin went from 15K to 110. I mean, you should at least have an idea of what you're gonna do in any circumstance. But yeah, like the memes bounced a bunch, all of them realistically, or like most of them anyway. One of the weaker bounces is Trump coin, which I find quite funny. President of the United States has a coin, and it's one of the worst performers in its category. I find that quite funny. Sailor is tweaking, claiming no more Bitcoin bear market. Do you still think we get a 75% pullback once the Bitcoin tops? Yeah, I think it's just going to be the exact same thing again as it has been in prior cycles. And I didn't think it would be, but now that we get a bunch of corporate idiots that have no idea what crypto is really, like how crypto works, and have no experience, that kind of just start leveraging up to buy as much Bitcoin as they can. I think basically they're gonna be the fuel to take us lower. I don't know from where, but I think it's gonna be another 80% pullback. Yeah, I think a lot of non-crypto natives that got into crypto to copy Sailor or to just do something similar. I think all of them or most of them are gonna go and lose everything. I love watching your streams, Don. They are so calming in this hectic crypto clown world. Thanks for continuing to do those. I enjoy it. Sometimes I don't have the time to do it, but I mean, I usually try to. It's also nice to just, I mean, it's a very, very slow way of looking at the chart for me. Like when I have to, like for me, usually, like I look at the chart like this, you know, like I open this, okay, I've looked enough at the monthly, looked enough at the weekly, looked at the daily. Sometimes I open the 4 hour. I haven't opened that in like days to weeks. And then I'm like, okay, I'm done with Bitcoin. I look at ETH, I look at XRP, I look at like 10 others. I'm done in 5 minutes, and I'm like, okay, I know enough for the day, and then I go about my way. So spending like an hour talking about this stuff makes me look at it a little bit more in depth, which isn't too bad. Don, are you disappointed of what crypto has become, and that's why you're quitting? I mean, I'm not quitting crypto. I'm just quitting trading because I think the edges that we do have in the market are gonna get smaller and smaller, the more sophisticated it gets. And two, I just don't wanna like sit in front of the computer, be like live that life. I don't think that's necessarily um, what I want to be remembered by my children, for example. Like just sitting in front of the computer trading stuff. It's not necessarily the example I want to set. It's not bad. I'm not hating on it, but it's just not what I want to do long term. But yeah, I mean, I'm not the happiest with how crypto has been going. I have been pretty vocal about that for the last couple of years, that we're going in the wrong direction. Still think that is the case, but yeah. Don, when does your contract with Wu end? And are you still considering continuing with the streams after? I think so. I don't know when it ends actually. Think like, actually don't know. Haven't checked in a while. Maybe it's actually close to ending. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what the future brings, what the future holds. Why don't let me know your monitored model and brand? Why? Like I have a lot of different ones actually, so it's actually something that I'm gonna redo anyway. Like I'm getting new screens. I have one like huge one, and I have two smaller gaming ones, and I have a laptop. I have a different computer on the other side of the room. So I have a bunch, but I'm gonna redo the entire setup, so it doesn't really help if I tell you any of it. chart just looks so clean on yours always. I mean, I can look it up for next time if you remember me, if you remind me. So yeah, that's that. That's where we are. The S&P's recovered a little bit. I'd still be cautious on that front. I think a lot of the tariff stuff isn't really baked in yet. But also like the biggest problem is like what are you gonna spend your money on? You know, like there's something that we've talked about in prior years. Like I mean, what are you actually gonna put your money on? And which is kind of like this kind of feels like, at least to me, it feels like we're in this ginormous Ponzi. Um, and I mean, you can tell that it's getting worse by basically like, I mean, just go on any forum, on any, I mean, wherever, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Discord, on Reddit, and you go and talk with people from like a country or something, and everyone's going to be like, everything is so shit nowadays. Rent is high, food prices are high, everything's high. Everyone's just struggling. And you go to like no matter where, which country, you're gonna find people complaining about how shit everything is going, and it's not really reflected in the market as a whole. And people are just basically trying to hyper gamble, getting out of the situation they're in, and then we get like weird fucking charts like this. Uh, to me, that's unsustainable long term, but it's a Ponzi. And if there's one thing that I've learned in crypto is that you don't stand in the way of a Ponzi while it's still Ponziing. But the other thing that I've learned is that the moment it's done Ponziing, you should really know what you're gonna do. I think we're kind of in that situation where the Ponzi kind of keeps heating up and gets worse, and reality and the markets are very, very far apart now, and there's gonna be a moment where that just doesn't work anymore. But for now we Ponzi, especially in France, dude. Like literally everyone says this. I do know like the situation in France quite well, and I mean France is wild, but it's all over the world, bro. Like, and everyone is kind of hating, losing faith in whatever, in the world, in their governments, in their politicians. And I mean, I get it, but also this is just a global trend. You know, like we're all a little bit in a downwards trend. You just cannot really see it because the markets are still going up. I'm following you since Twitch times. Lots of respect aus Leipzig. Love to hear it, man. Twitch was the good times. So yeah, that's where we are. The Ponzi's are Ponziing, and Bitcoin, at least like the narrative for Bitcoin is quite a good one, right? Because I think people are getting like waking up to the fact that it's actually just a ginormous Ponzi, and technically speaking, Bitcoin is made for that whole, like, okay, everything, like losing faith in the traditional world, that's what Bitcoin's made for. So could see that pull a little bit of an interest. I think that's what a bunch of people are speculating on. Apocalypse stream for the win. Yeah, that one was the best one. I was down here when we almost went to zero. Good times. Bought and went live. Like I bought, went live, and couldn't access anything. Kind of glad I did. I mean, I don't know. I probably would have held regardless, but like that was some nasty shit. Like I bought like at 4K, immediately went to 3.6, and then almost went to zero while we're live on stream, and then it giga bounced. Good times. I've heard stories of the apocalypse stream on Twitch. Anyone got a link? Someone posted a link. I think you can YouTube it, but I don't have it. Maybe someone will post it in the comments of this of this video, and then you can check. There was someone that re-uploaded it on YouTube because Twitch deleted it. I don't have it though. Anyway, I think that's it for today. It's quite late over here, and I need to get some sleep, and I actually still have to work out. So I'm gonna call it a night, but I appreciate you guys coming by. Like I said, Bitcoin wise, as long as we're holding 104K on the weekly time frame, all is good in the world. If we start losing that, you can start making comparison to 2021. It's got to be a little bit careful here, but also not too overly careful before it's actually confirmed to be bad, right? So I have high hopes, but I'm ready to be disappointed. And I think that's a good attitude to have right now. So yeah, appreciate you guys coming by. Appreciate Woo for sponsoring the show. Their links are in the description, and we'll see each other on Friday. Bye bye.